Hello, everybody. Okay, here I am. I'm almost together with all my stuff. So here we are, first severe thunderstorm outbreak of the year in British Columbia. And I'm just making sure quickly to spread the word that this podcast is on. So please do me a favor and share it around as well. Hit like and share and subscribe, and I'll try to occasionally check out the comment section and answer your questions. So I'm streaming right now. Everything you want to know is on the radar. We have your thunderstorm watch in effect in the Nicola area, and that storm looks pretty nasty, and it's not the only one. So just spreading the word quickly. And we're going to get going here. So many things to, I'm still doing my best. Camera on, okay, window closed. Here we go. So here's where currently our angriest looking cells are. Lumby's got a pretty good looking one. This guy near Cherryville, probably hail in there. And this concerning guy in Nicola as well. That's where the severe watch is. That severe watch probably extends, I would say, into this whole region here, more or less. So anyone in that Mare area, looks like you in Mare are missing this line. But we'll just watch where things have been kind of the last while. I am going to need to get some water. So you see there's it's largely today had a sort of push like this, but we're seeing more and more that transitioning to a straight northerly bent right here. You see it. These storms are heading now, changing direction a little bit. So this guy as well, where is it going? I would say Stump Lake, look out if you know people in Stump Lake. Douglas Lake right now, there's probably hail in that. So we get a kind of a look here at the wind velocities. Definitely some high winds on they're coming towards the radar. That's what the green means. Green means it's coming towards the radar, and red means it's going away from the radar. So that's what the velocity tells us, right? So we can see that there's some conflicting winds in that these are going outbound and these are coming in. So this is feeding, and you can tell there's a bit of a tail developing on our storm here. And you can tell that this area here, it's got a bit of a tail there. And you can see that there's some inflow on this side as well, right? So that inflow is helping feed that storm right in here. That's helping. Oh no, I'm a little off. Up into here, up by Douglas Lake right now. Somewhere in this area. So doing my best. That gives us a bit of an idea. Maybe we can find out if there's hail. You could look at specific correlation coefficient. So probably this stuff in here is probably hail. So the correlation coefficient will pick up the edges, but then if there's things inside the edge. So what correlation coefficient is measuring is things in the cloud. Everything's got all the raindrops are more or less uniform in size and reflectivity. But when you have, say, bits of hailstones and things like that, or you see it really when there's a tornado going on, especially. So look out in the backside of the storm for hail is what I'm saying. So that's that. So this guy by Lumby, particularly nasty cell. And just looking right now, it's not appearing to have any lightning. Where am I looking? No, that is the lightning one. It's the one over here that hasn't become too active yet. Sorry, I'm trying to look at two gadgets at once. So this guy by Lumby has had lightning strikes. Ooh, and lots of them. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 ground strikes or more in just the last 10 minutes. So that would be concerning for anybody. And look at uh, how nasty this section's becoming, right? So let's do the same thing we just did. Have a look. So not seeing much on that. Anything interesting in velocity going on? Not really. So that's very close to Silver Star radar as well. Yeah, so that is why you're seeing some of this interference. It's almost too close for the radar. Some of what's coming in. That looks really, really healthy. So those lightning strikes have already extended up. There's some power lines that run north, and they go up towards Trinity Valley and kind of connect and go towards Ashton Creek. This sort of line of power lines. So there's been lightning strike up on those power lines. That's just happened. So that might be an area where there's extra forest cover. And this cell down here is not very active. It's possible that this guy is eating up some of the energy. And it's also possible that this guy just hasn't hit its moment yet. And it might actually grow. So that's two we're watching. And we have over by Stump Lake and Douglas Lake area here. You can see now the nice shape of this and the nice inflow coming in. So that's probably a gust front of some sort. Probably quite windy on the edge here and quite aggressive in the core. So this kind of tail, if anyone's got eyes on this, I would love to see a photograph of what is going on here, right? So that looks to me like a lowered base or like it's trying to make a wall cloud. And we do know that tornadoes are possible anywhere in BC. Do I say a tornado is going to happen there? I wouldn't be that bold. However, so often I see in the processes in storms the same things happening, right? So in strong storms, you're going to see some of that same structure. So on Stump Lake itself, there's been a lightning strike on the water. So that's nice. More of that would be good. I'm sure the fish don't agree. And a lot of the lightning activity right now I'm seeing is on this edge. That's where a lot of the fresh strikes are. And a lot of this area, as you can see, is pretty dry. And you can see it just by the topography, very dry. And then you got lots of forest up in here. So fire concerns, certainly. Yeah, those are strikes I'd be watching, and I'm sure BC Wildfire Service is. They know what I know. Be sure of that. So we got this other cell that's kind of out in the middle of nowhere off the Fraser Lake, and I'm going to find it in 1 second. However, it's going to be far in the radar range. So, wait a second. This guy down by Cache Creek, he's just had a lightning strike. This guy. So lightning strike up in the hills there. Just right now. Probably hitting the mountaintops. Those are some pretty tall hills there. So yes, this cell here currently is causing lightning, and it's on the outside edge of our radar feed. So that's a bummer. And again, I think it's great that we got better and better radar quality in BC now. However, I would really like to see that expand now further, because we have these dark areas, and I'm sure people out at the Gang Ranch, I'm sure they pay taxes and would love to know that lightning is striking in their area right now. Although I'm sure maybe those cowboys are more aware than you think. So that's the situation at the moment. Lots of fresh lightning strikes now south of Kamloops. So this guy, it's becoming very active again. And yeah, look at that. Boom. It just threw a flurry of lightning in the last couple minutes. And again, all in that dry area. I would really be concerned for fire there. So again, we see that tail section's kind of weakening out now, that inflow area. Like I said, I didn't think it was going to become a tornado, but it just shows you that this is sort of the energy we're dealing with, is some pretty pissed off storms. Still nothing very new in that Lumbee one. A couple fresh strikes on the north side of town, and we'll go over to Lumbee here in a sec. So this cell looks mad. I would love to get anybody who's got pictures in there on this one. And maybe what I could do for a second is just check in, see if anyone's actually commenting here. Mr. Peabody, second wave of storm about to fire south of Princeton. Yes. Good. And more lightning strikes further south of Lumbee now. So, anybody saying anything crazy here on Weather Watchers? So do make sure to be involved on our group on Facebook, Interior Weather and Wilderness Watchers, right? Be involved. Post photos, and make sure if you do, you say something. Don't just post a picture. Make sure we know where you are, what you're seeing, what direction you're looking. Is there crazy wind going on? Fresh lightning strikes now by Cache Creek. So we'll turn the window off and we'll go back to display. Oh no, display on. Come on. And we'll go back to our radar. Yikes, that Lumbee guy that is some intense storm in there. So anybody in the Lumbee area, look out. That is not fooling around. Our guy by Cache Creek, this cell has just become active. So certainly our friends in Ashcroft, if you're looking westerly, watch that thunderstorm. At least 3 strikes in the last 10 minutes now there. And let's check in quickly. We'll go back to, I guess I can just leave the window on. We'll go back and let's just reconnect with, so our severe watch is still on. That was issued at 1:30. So the concerns would be strong wind gusts. We've seen a little bit of evidence of that. Large hail. Definitely seeing evidence of that probably in the Lumbee area. Heavy rain. If anybody out there is in those areas, safely get photos. We don't want anyone getting struck by lightning or don't hide under trees. Don't take risks. So this Lumbee cell has just kicked out a lot of lightning. How many we got in here now? Oh, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. Probably close to 20 lightning strikes hitting the ground in the Lumbee area. So mostly we're going to pick up on this strong flashes, right? That probably means there's been more lightning than anyways. So that's what we know so far. Also, this has been expanded over in Alberta. Severe thunderstorm watch there. Strong wind gusts could damage weak buildings, break branches off trees. So that's some of the threats they're looking at there. And then we've had heat warning in Edmonton, 29 degrees. That goes all the way up past Bonnyville to Cold Lake. I don't like on this that when you click on a red area, you can't see what's in it. So that's something I'd like Environment Canada to change. I'd like it, sure, you can keep the area, you can shade it red, but we still want to know what town is here. I shouldn't have to click off of it to see what towns are in here, right? So No alerts for your location. Okay, well, what does it say in my location? I have friends in Bonnyville. I do. I've been to cowboy weddings there. Can't find out because that's in the way, right? So um, we'll go back in a second to our radar, but just have a picture of where we're at right now. So here's where the heat is. Really warm up in the central interior. So that must be nice. Obviously here in Wells, we're having a nice day, but it's 15 and it's that's always the case here. So down in Washington, into Portland, Idaho, some very, very warm weather. Over in Alberta, very warm weather. That's definitely fucking things up. And we have I've just noticed that when we look at all the ISO bars, we see lots of weird bends. And whenever you see these ISO bars looking crazy like this, is usually when, and you can take right here, for example, where the severe thunderstorm watch is on. Here you got a big weird bend in the ISO bar, and that's all along that line where you can expect thunderstorms will probably kick up today. So that's just a little tip for you. You know, this sharp bend again here. Those are things that you can look for when you're forecasting. And you know, this is all fucked up, and it gets weirder and weirder as you go on. So where's our thunder possibilities today? It's going to continue for the next bunch of hours. Williams Lake, look out! You might see a real strong thunderstorm today. So that is the concern going into dinner time hours before these kind of peter rain out, and you might see a little bit of flashing around the Caribou Mountains tonight, but mostly it's done for the day until well, Thursday. And as you're seeing in my video yesterday, it again, look at these ISO bars. They're all totally just fucking mashed everywhere, right? And this is a good clue. And there's a thing going on right now called the Omega block that's happening. So it looks like a big Omega sign. And in the middle of the country, there's this high pressure, and it's not letting all this crap get in. And that's what's basically responsible for all these lows slamming up against it and just contorting because they can't really go anywhere. This Omega block is keeping the eastern half of the continent drier. So, I mean, severe thunderstorm watching is probably going to be best in the next little while into Texas, Colorado, once these sort of guys peter out, because this Omega block will, and you can see it just by looking at temperature, where the temperature is cool and where it's hot. So let's stop right there for a second. And Friday's the day where I expect things are going to really, really light up, right? But Thursday as well, we'll see some scattered thunderstorm development and activity. Thursday being a bit of the day off between today and Friday's big show. Backtrack a little bit. So here's where our thunderstorm energy more or less is. And look at these crazy ISO bars. Like, this is bizarre looking stuff. It's not nice and smooth and fluid. Things are contorting and battling each other out. Fresh lightning strikes west 170 Mile House again. So that's well west of Flat Lake Provincial Park. A couple new strikes in the mountains southwest of Cache Creek. Only a little activity in the hills directly west of Ashcroft, or east of Ashcroft. So on both sides of the valley, you got things going on there. Our Kamloops storm appears to be branching more and more easterly. So here's this line. It's sort of developing into a line now, isn't it? So we have some flashes here, a couple flashes up into here, and then we have this cell that's kind of broken off from Logan Lake, and it might do whatever it wants because it's achieved sort of isolation. So that's one that might develop real strong. And currently is throwing out quite a bit of lightning. There's again some. I'm not sure if that's power lines or if that's um, what do you call it? Seismic lines. But at the top of Range Creek, basically on the other side of the hills there on the green side, there's been quite a bit of lightning this past 10 minutes there now. So that is, I would suggest, there. So will this storm die off? I don't know. This one has lost some of the structure of severity that I think it kind of had. Oh, I am foolish. Sorry, this is the one I should be looking at. That's the one out by Douglas Lake. Okay, you caught me. A lot of lightning going on in that area right there. So that's up Range Creek, and if you can see, the hillside kind of crests here. So this is on the other side. Range Creek would be down here somewhere. Right, so that's that cell. Very very full of lightning. And I just wonder if we're not getting a full read on what's going on in Lumbee because it's so close to Silver Star. So that's curious. I hope people are getting some photos of that, but that's probably some pretty nice hail going on right now just east of town, I imagine. If you're in the Lumbee area, you live in those sort of farmy flat areas on that side of town, you're probably seeing some of that right now. This little guy down by Cherryville got a real nice little core to him. So forgive me for getting a little confused in the map. So these guys have sort of broken off. It's got its little bit of lightning here, a little bit of lightning here. These guys might produce a flash or two. This is that main cell, and it has seemed to have broken off, and it's sort of by itself. It could intensify, or it could get a little bit of rotation. That makes it really hard to know what it might do. It would seem like they were going this way more, but it's more or less kind of hung out in this area by itself for a little while. It could decide to go any one of these directions. So I would say anybody with interests in these set of hills, you're probably going to get a lot of lightning strikes up into here in the next half hour or so. It'll remain to be seen. It'll probably stick to the hills on this side. If it jumps across to here, then that's what we're going to be watching for. The fact that it's achieved some isolation makes it harder to know what it might do. So 5, 6 thumbs up. Thanks everybody. 5 people watching. And it's not exactly watching. There's also dust advisories in Prince George right now, so air quality sucks there today, and that thunderstorm watch still is in effect. This little cell here is starting to pop up just west of Summerland. No lightning yet in that one. But I bet, because it's only 3 o'clock in the afternoon, it's going to get some convection going. Same with some of these extra trailing cells. Any one of these guys now, of course you got this guy outside 70 Mile House we can barely see on the radar that's still kicking out lightning. um, on the east side of the Fraser River. And you got, so you have lightning here, a little bit sort of between Cache Creek and, Lillooet in those hills. We got all these cells here that could pop up. These trailers might develop. This guy looks quite organized and healthy. And whatever's going on in Vernon and Cherryville, whoa, looks quite hot. So Cody's posted some photos of Similkameen area. Lots of energy up here. Let's have a look, everybody. So we're not seeing it yet on here. That doesn't mean it's not there. But let's see his pictures. That's good. People putting pictures up. That's good. Thank you very much, Cody. Cody's one of our moderators. So what's he seeing here? Yeah, definitely got some overcast. Definitely got some energy. A couple cells with little tiny heads, so there's signs of convection there. Probably going to see another round of thunderstorms try to develop in and out of here. By the look of it, hour or two, maybe still. And looking north, of course. Oh, what have I done? Looking east towards Headley. That looks nice. Yeah. So those mountains are helping pop some convection up. Certainly. And you can just see by all the, these are always signs of shitty weather, right? So the instability is definitely there. You see some convection starting to grow up. So Cody's right. It'll probably do something. Yeah, this guy's got a nice, and look, when a cell starts doing that, it can grow really fast, actually. So, I'm just guessing when I say hour or two. So that's really good stuff. Thank you, Cody. And everybody else out there who might be watching, that's the kind of stuff we want. Thanks to all the supporters of the group, right? A former moderator who the other moderators of Weather Watchers, I don't really want to get into it. I guess they didn't want them to be a moderator anymore. They're mad at me. They donated once to help me buy a computer and went on the attack yesterday. And I'm sorry they're not happy with or think that what I do is relevant, or if their removal from the moderation team has and somehow in any way affected their emotional state. That's not the goal. But also thank you to everybody who's supported. You've helped me make a difference. So you can see right now I'm using this computer. I have my other laptop here handy. I'm using this camera. I'm using Radar Scope Premium, which cost me over $130 a year. And then plus more to have it on several different devices. I've got Lightning Tracker Premium. I've got Windy Premium. So I'm spending money in order to give you, what's going on near Kimberley and Cranbrook? Spending money always, and for the most part, that hasn't been my money. That's been people's donations, right? So I'm sorry that they're not satisfied. But again, I can't waste time arguing with people. So yeah, some good looking cells trying to pop up now near Kimberley, Cranbrook. Definitely be watching these guys. This is an area of concern in the next hour, I'd say. Definitely watch for that. Some of those storms. Look at that one by Red Deer. So that's north of Rocky Mountain House, Sunchild. Nice country up there. Fresh lightning strikes, lots of them. So that storm's pissed right off. That Stump Lake storm still sitting more, it's, started to move, but it's still more or less sitting on this side of the river, or this, river valley. And I would think that these are the areas it's going to want to move into, these hills. So everywhere west of Westwalled, Monty Lake, areas that have burnt a lot already, I know. There'll be cooler weather, better temperatures. You can bet that once this is all said and done, the conditions for fire in BC will not be as significant. So now we got our first lightning strikes out towards Armstrong and Enderby. And that's, as you can see, it's right on top of, the storm is right now on top of Silver Star Mountain Resort. And the radar is freaking out because it doesn't know how to read something that's on top of it. It wants to look, it looks out, right? And then it looks out with like a tilt so that, a certain amount of the cloud above the ground, it's trying to, but with, in the mountains, that tilt, it still struggles to see what's fully going on the other side of a mountain because the radar is restricted by the hillside. So, the storm is, to me, that storm is right on top of the radar site. And that's why we're not really being able to see very much what's going on. But, just outside Lumbee, that's moving quickly now. That looks like some crazy looking rainfall. So I'm not exactly sure what's going on yet, Armstrong. But we know from lightning data that it's more or less, take a bearing here, more or less this mountain peak. There's two ridges of mountains here that kind of come together into one. Yeah, there's a bunch of creeks that run down from here, right? Joyce Creek, Alderson Creek. Stump Lake storm, again, looking very aggressive still. It's got that long tail in behind it again. So, wind in there, hail in there. And now we got fresh lightning coming to Savona. So this line has become very active all of a sudden. And it's about to cross over Highway 1. Cherry Creek, just west of you. Just back up a couple frames and see how it's grown, developed, started to become active. Now this cell over here out of the blue just suddenly got real mad. That's the one definitely to look for. This Stump Lake storm, again, still kicking out lots of lightning there. And it's all west of Stump Lake. Nothing seems to be crossing to this side of the valley. So all these hills out towards Monty Lake, that's its target. That's where that storm is going. So look the fuck out. And this guy has moved. Oops. So it's now approaching, you can see where 99 Highway is here. It sort of snakes all the way around. So this storm is on this set of hills in that bend that the highway kind of goes around, the pass at Pavilion. And at least 5 lightning strikes in the last 10 minutes. All mostly on the southwest side of Pavilion Lake. One on the west side, Marble Canyon 3. You go up Pavilion 3A. So there's some. Oh, I got a refresh that just happened. So right between Armstrong and Enderby now. We're getting lightning, and it's not showing up on the radar because it's too close to Silver Star. So there's probably storm's probably like so. I mean, just look at the backside. This is a pissed off storm. It's very red. It's very angry, right? And it's probably gonna stick into these hills for a little bit. Christine Jensen sending me 3 photos. What she got? Towards Armstrong and Silver Star. So we got photos right now of that storm. Thank you, Christine. Oh, yeah. Nice. It's feeding. That storm is becoming more and more angry. And it's outside of the watch area, which is interesting. So we got severe thunderstorm warning going on right now in Banff. Severe thunderstorm is 20 kilometers north of Morley near Forestry Trunk Station, nearly stationary. Let's find it. So that's severe thunderstorm warning. Oh yeah, because it's a warning, it shows up. Isn't that great? And it's so close to CASSM. What's going on here? Where are you? How come I can't see you, Storm? So I got no data right now. Alberta. Here we go. There's that one storm. This is how it works. These guys that get isolated by themselves, they're the ones that always get the most angry. So how am I doing here? That's a meaty looking storm. And it is throwing out a lot of lightning all up and down there. So there's cells north of there that are we looked at earlier. They're very active. So all in that front range of the Rockies. And this typical, they'll probably hang in there for a little while. And when they get sufficiently angry like this one is, they might take a jump off and see what direction they head in the prairies. I'm not really here to talk about Alberta so much. However, while we're on this radar feed, these guys have turned real interesting. And maybe we can find an American one. That'll give us a better idea. How come my data's being so slow on my... So we have lightning strikes going on from the Purcell Wilderness in the mountains outside Fort Steele towards Kimberley, in the mountains south of Cranbrook. These are all really aggressive looking cells, and they're going all kinds of weird directions. So you got This one cell, they say it's going to go here, and this one cell is going to go here. Like, what? What is going on? A lot of lightning in there. This cell wants to go towards Meechin. So something really fucked up's happening there, right? Ooh, and we got another one by Canham Lake now striking. So watch these cells. They're very active. It's probably quite dry there. Things are moving all kinds of weird ways. So whatever you think you know about the direction storms always come from, very angry storms don't, they do what they want. And I'm concerned that that's what's going on there. Oh, wait. So we're going to go back to Kamloops here. How everyone's doing. Savinaw's now starting to see that cross over the hills. And it's hanging over the highway. That edge of it. 124 kilometers away, last lightning strike. So yes, we've got active thunderstorm now by Mahood Falls. And we can't really see it. Hey, Frankie's saying hi. Hi, Frankie. So the limits of our radar is an issue, but we'll have to go with the southern one. So we see these guys out by Hendricks Lake. This one's kicking quite a bit of lightning out all of a sudden. Mahood, yeah, so this guy here, quite likely. We see some development starting now in these mountains that are, I can't think of the name of that mountain, but John Foster would know because he's sitting right about here. And that's when I was staying at his house. I looked at that mountain all the time. So that's trying to sort of connect up over. So we could see some lightning activity starting in this section in the next little bit. Already we're seeing it up by Hendricks. Let's see. Yeah, just outside Hendricks Lake on the west side. So lightning strikes going on there, my friends. Kimberly and Cranbrook looking real good. Watch out. One little cell near Windermere, Fairmont, looking really good. This guy by Stump Lake, still doing whatever it wants. Still just hanging in those hills. This guy now trying to cross over from Pavilion. So Highway 99, seeing this one right now. If you're traveling between Bonaparte and Zaxlip, sorry about the pronunciation. Schlatlium is a difficult language even if you're an expert, and I am not. So there's that cell that Christine Jensen was taking pictures of, and we really can't see much of it yet. But hopefully the next couple radar feeds, as it gets more towards Enderby, we'll get a better picture of it, right? And it's just, like I say, here's our radar station, and the storm is mostly sitting right on top. So that's definitely, the storm is looking underneath, or the radar is looking underneath some of the storm, right? Is more or less what's happening there. So a lot of lightning strikes now going on. In fact, we're looking at 800 lightning strikes in BC and Montana, more or less, and Alberta at this moment. So that's definitely the kind of stuff that makes fires. And I think Friday will be a much more widespread and extreme version of this. We'll see much more for watches and warnings and things being issued. I'm just curious if there's any change here. Because to me, yes, so the severe storm watch is now dropped. And that was for, everybody that was more or less in this area. The show's over. And probably that extended further down. So the show is over for now. This one that probably Cody's got eyes on, starting to become active. So good catch there. He saw it, knew it, and reported it, took pictures, and he was 100% right. That storm has now developed and is beginning its life. And we'll see how long it continues on for. Cluster of lightning strikes. If you know where Falder is, I've been on that highway many times. I never realized there was a place called Falder. So if you go west of Summerland, there's a little town called, something called Falder. And there's lightning going on. That's our cell. Pretty dry looking country. Up on the hilltops. Is there snow up in those places? I honestly don't know. It's probable there's some snow still in the high country up there. Somebody, I could look that up right now, but I'm not that interested. And wow, just a ton of lightning kicking out now. Walhatching. This is the most aggressive storm now at the moment. It looks like this guy by Stump Lake is kind of losing some of his form. Whereas this one is getting stronger. And that's like, wow, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 times. There's like over 20 lightning strikes in the last 10 minutes there. 10, 15 minutes. Some down by Mount Savinaw Provincial Park. And even now in Skeetcheston, there's that first, if you go down towards Skeetcheston, there's kind of like two reses. There's like the first subdivision, and this lightning would be pretty close to there. In fact, it hit in the subdivision in Skeetcheston, right just off of Benchlands Road. So hopefully our friends in the Skeetcheston Volunteer Fire Department are watching that, because that is right in your neighborhood, friends. Spread the word to them. Yeah, that is the first one reaching out across is what that lightning strike was. And that subdivision in Skeetcheston's in here. All right, so there's a subdivision. That lightning strike was right here. Oops. Right here. So that's very close to that community. And definitely most of the firefighters I fought with were from Skeetcheston, or they're from Lytton, a few from Nisconlith, the vast majority. And some of them live right near there. Anybody, for example, my friend who I fought with, JJ, lives just up over here somewhere. So definitely anybody who knows JJ, send him a message, be like, lightning striking by your house, buddy. If he's not home, if he's out working somewhere away from so that is crossing Kamloops Lake right now. There was a fire I fought on right here on this area. That was 2019. The fire jumped the highway. It was on the news. Bombers came in, plastered the hell out of it, and then for 2 days after that, we just basically mopped it up. That is our best looking storm right now. But hey, our guy, our Stump Lake storm has redeveloped. It's kind of morphing and maybe it's trying to break into two cells. So it's gone through a cycle, it's regenerating. And we can see starting to get better radar feeds on this big set of storms down where Christina Jensen is. Got this one down by Oyama. Not flashing. But it will. I think that right there is some nice inflow and a bit of a tail coming in. So this storm's feeding. Yeah, this storm's feeding right now. That's our area. You can see, you know, from some's going towards the radar, some's going away. That tells you that it's feeding. That's inflow. So that will become a healthy storm very soon. That's good structure for development. Totally. Everyone in Lake Country, Okanagan, keep your eyes open up there. That's straight south of Vernon. So that's one to watch. And again, that guy has turned real nasty again. It's going to start becoming very active. And it's striking, yeah, just as I said too, it's coming towards, it's sticking in these mountains. And I would say if you're in this area, these are the areas it might actually come to, even though everything's been moving different ways today. This cell could impact anywhere in here next. So Monty Lake, Westwald, please be advised. Strong thunderstorm development, re-energizing. Our guy in Savinaw. We'll see how much structure it maintains as it crosses the valley. It might peter out a little bit. And for the first time, west of Stump Lake, we have lightning. So this guy here, he's barely even developed. It's becoming a thunderstorm. So that's right by Highway 5. So you can bet any one of these might do the same soon too. We're in prime thunderstorm development hour now, heading towards 4 o'clock. This guy will produce down by Lake Country, absolutely. I can't tell what's going on yet with that one by Enderby. We know Kimberly, Cranbrook, some good development, a lot of lightning in this line of storms that extends down into Montana. We know that we have had some severe storms already now outside Banff. A lot of lightning up here, some activity to the north. Most of our BC activity all in the south. Caribou, it's quiet. Ah, that's why. Caribou's quiet. South of 100 Mile, south of Williams Lake, though, we were watching this storm that for a while was kind of out in the middle of nowhere. And it's not chilling out. In fact, it's kicking out a lot more lightning now. And soon we'll get it on into Caribou radar territory. We'll be able to see it. But I would suggest that our predictions for 4, 5, 6 o'clock strong thunderstorms in the Williams Lake area, probably not as far north as Quesnel. I think that this will more or less, that's confusing, sorry. More or less, we're going to look at an area in here that's going to see some probably strong thunderstorm developments in the next couple hours. So thanks everybody for just tuning in and being here. Yes, definitely some action south of Nelson coming towards you. it hasn't developed much yet. Most of what you're looking at would be still uh, well east of you, in which there's a ton of lightning now. Like that line of storms that's east of you, Tyler. I'll just try to pick a better radar again. These ones here are kicking out a crazy amount of lightning now. Like, wow. These guys out in the hills by Kimberley, they are flashing like absolutely crazy. There's so much lightning going on in there right now. And then this whole line of storms that's in the mountains south of Cranbrook and of Yak, uh, crazy amount of lightning right now, all the way down into the other side of the U.S. border. So it's basically, it lines up perfectly with what I'm seeing on here. That there's this sort of gap, and there's nothing going on there, but everywhere else outside that gap, we're talking like, oh my God, there's maybe 40, 50. I don't know. I can't even tell. There's too many to count in this one section alone in the last 10 minutes. And here as well, like this area is getting hit by lightning hard. That's a big time fire concern right now. It has been dry down there. It's its nature down there to be dry. So as long as it's striking on mountaintops, that's good. Where there's still snow, certainly that's what you'd want to see. And our other guy, we called the Stump Lake storm all day. It's really on the move now. And so all along this line, and it appears like Dallas, Monty Creek, it may go, I doubt Falkland will see any of it. So these are areas where this storm might be coming in. It hasn't seemed to, it went through a cycle where it calmed down, but it hasn't seemed to dissipate. No, quite the opposite. That's real active in there. There's probably hail in the middle of that for sure. And we have like sort of trailers that are trying to develop as well, and we'll keep our eye on that. The one in Savinaw, it's now on the highway. It's crossing over, while Hatching's finally sort of seeing the backside of its cell. But over just west of Savinaw, it is right on that. And there's some high areas there where lightning does like to strike. That was the cause of our last fire. That was there I was telling you about, down by Bonaparte. So yeah, wow. There is an awful lot of lightning going on now. An awful lot. We got storms popping off all in this area. These guys are more or less associated with that. You got these ones trying to build by Nelson. You got these guys going down here. So all along this front, it is just flashing like crazy now. So much lightning. So much lightning. So we're concerned for fires and for the heavy downpours that might come with thunderstorms. We're concerned about the water table raising. So no new watches in BC. So there is that. Hi, Frankie. Frankie's the best. Anything interesting going on in weather watches right now? Anyone posting pictures? Anyone reporting anything? What am I missing out here? Not much for new posts yet. Anybody? You got eyes on that stuff. Please take pictures. We want to see what you're seeing. Yeah, this morning there is a lot of lightning to start the day. So this isn't the first round of it by any means. The day started like this. Sunrise and thunder in Peachland. Thanks for the heads up about the weather. You're welcome, Alexander. Time to batten down the hatches on the old farmstead. Yeah, bud. It's just a fuck you forecast right now. Those are great pictures. And then, of course, what can you say about that image? And it's not the first time I've seen that image either. It's like Cache Creek is, since that last fire, I don't know what to tell you. Holy. So, here's what's happening. Then you got these thunderstorms, and they're not going to help the water table, especially if some of those concentrated areas sit on a mountain and just dump for a while, right? Like we've seen it kind of do by Stump Lake. So I'd be really concerned, for Cache Creek today. It's not going to get a break. And flash flooding there happens so easy. Look, your window, dude. That's a lot of. My head's probably in the way here. What did I do? How come I stopped it? Maybe that was the end. Okay. Okay. So without my head in the way, and you can see he's doing the speed limit there, and or Abigail, she's doing the speed limit. Whichever one of you is driving, and definitely she's flooded. Oh, a fucking disaster zone. Anybody who's by the Granby River in Grand Forks, I'd love to see what you're seeing. So get us some footage on your river. Post it to the group. Let us know. That's typical now. It's like every year, ever since that big bad fire, there's nothing to hold the rain when it lands in the hills. You can see those storms in the distance that are developing. Now that's a day ago. Now imagine even better examples of those are sitting in the mountains right now. Any comments right now? Any mini supercells? I don't know if it works like that. Mini supercells. This guy here by Monty Lake. I mean, supercells are by their nature kind of mini. Is part of it. Is that a supercell is not a big storm. It's if this guy could break free and be on his lonesome, it would probably have supercell characteristics. But nothing I'm seeing right now has those characteristics. But definitely very close in the hills by Vernon. Those are really deep storms. And down by Kimberly, these are really deep storms. That one by itself, I mean, with what I can see, it may be close to that. So, we don't have any severe warnings right now or watches. So that should tell you that nothing is in that supercellular category necessarily, because if it was, we'd have something to talk about. Definitely, it happens. Some of these storms make 10 minutes of their life where you could say that's supercell, right? So, a storm is never staying the same. It's always changing. So unfortunately, I got to switch to one radar or the other, and we can't get a real good look yet. But we can tell that those storms are starting to come down towards Alkali Lake. They're near the Gang Ranch, just east of, and they'll be making their way towards 114 Mile House, Williams Lake, Essler, Risk Creek, all these areas in the next 45 minutes. I'd start to, if especially if you're in these dry areas, I'd start to take stock of the situation. I think I'm going to take a 5-minute break, if that's okay with everybody, to go to the bathroom and get water. I'm just going to leave this radar feed running. Just south of Kamloops now, Barnhart Vale. So yes, these storms are on the move now finally. And they're quite active, and that was our Stump Lake storm. So everywhere east of Kamloops, you're about to see in the next half hour or even sooner. So spread word to your friends there. That one's crossing over Savinaw. More lightning strikes near Skeetcheston now on the other side of the valley. Not so much in Cache Creek. One random one out by Chasm, sort of. And then we got scatters of new ones in the South Caribou, west of 100 Mile House, approaching Williams Lake area. So those are the ones we're watching right now. And then also the crazy amount of lightning that's going on in this, what we'll call the Kimberley Complex, or the Cranbrook Complex. KOTX, what we got for us? Oops. So those are aggressive storms, man. Kimberley, you're getting a lot of lightning in that area right now. So those are the storms. That's the stories we're watching. Okay, I'm going to just take my 5-minute break here. So I think I'm going to stop the broadcast there for now because all our severe watches have ended. And when we get any new severe watches today, if we do, then I'll be sure to come back on. Part of it's the title of this is for a severe watch that's now ended. So I feel like anybody who comes to the podcast now looking for news on that is going to find out that it's over, right? But we still have lots of thunderstorms, and some of these thunderstorms are real aggressive. Look at all the reds, right? I mean, that's your telltale sign on the radar. That means it's deep. It means it's seeing a lot of things there that are reflecting back. Near Loon Lake, that little cell developing on its own. That's the one that was putting some lightning out by Chasm, I noticed. So it's become active. It's by itself. So I don't know what it will do, how it will develop. It might get real aggressive. And that's really it's not like the days where we have thunderstorms that, and some of these guys by Blue River, kind of isolated, strong. And it's not like one of these days where we have like a clear line of like, okay, here's a line of thunderstorms moving in. That's what I think Friday is going to be like. Friday's going to have a line of weather move through, and on the front side of that line, we're going to have all hell break loose, right? Whereas this is instability in individual cells getting going, and that's why some of these have been very strong cells. They've produced a lot of lightning. Wildfire threats are really concerning right now. The heavy rain that's happening in the hillsides in some of these areas that are flood risk already. Definitely the storm that's coming up towards Williams Lake has a lot of lightning in it. Our guy by Savinaw and Skeetcheston's kind of calmed down. It's breaking up form. Our Monty Lake one is now sending lightning all over between Barnhart Vale. Basically, it's getting strikes all in that area, including two right down by the river itself, and two near the Trans-Canada Highway. One has hit a neighborhood, and it looks like it hit like in between a bunch of houses. So I don't know if you can see that or not, but there's like a parking lot kind of in the middle there, and it appears that lightning struck something there in Barnhart Vale. And we got another one that struck it just updated on me and I lost those ones. Another one that struck just outside of a house near Todd Road and Morris Place, where those two roads meet. So just behind a house there, a lightning strike in Barnhart Vale. And we got a couple that have reached across now. They're not really on Mount Paul, but down the the east edge, sort of the back side. There's a lot of forest in there. That's concerning to me. Really dry area out by some, a couple fields and whatnot as well that I'm seeing. Quite a few strikes now just happening across the Thompson. So that whole area in Barnard, that storm's on the move. It's kind of developed like a line. It's moving pretty fast. Bam. See, it's moving pretty fast now. And this back edge, that looks really, really aggressive. And this front edge looks really, really aggressive. So those are the two areas where I'd be really watching. All kinds of fresh lightning strikes in Barnhart Vale. Wow, it just lit up. And then towards Monty Lake as well, we got fresh lightning strikes just on this side of the road. And then most of them are concentrated in where this cell looks real angry. So look out. Yeah. That right now is the show. More strikes just down off the highway where the bench of land kind of goes up. So two there, one near Holman Road. and a couple in the hills south of there, a bunch across the river. So that storm got really active and it kicked out a lot of lightning really fast. That's a typically dry area. Be looking for smoke. Yeah, that's the most concerning one at the moment. And that's our Stump Lake storm again. That was the one that was severe watched earlier. And it really took its time. And it's more or less two separate storms now, with sort of a gust front that'll be here. Everything's being a little slow now because I'm streaming and on the phone, and so my radar's being very slow. That's a bummer. So somewhere you can imagine if there was a velocity reading, for whatever reason I don't have it, it would show you strong winds on that front. That's a real bummer. Let's see if I can get it on here. There we go. So yeah, that was really gusting along here. That's some real strong wind that was going on. And you can see, so some of the wind is going away from the radar station, which is down here, away from it. Some of it's coming towards it. So definitely that's a feeding storm. Definitely this couplet here tells me that's strong. So anybody between Campbell Creek and Barnhartvale right now, they're probably getting a pretty wicked event. We finally had a lightning strike in Kamloops, more or less. Looks like it's on the res, just off Kootenay Way, near Shuswap Road West. So that's in the Halston area. That's the first lightning we've seen outside there. That's really concerning. You know, that's really concerning, as is all this. That's very aggressive storms. In fact, I'm almost wondering if they've now issued a watch of any kind or a warning. No. So, yeah, you probably want to watch me. That is pissed off. Right, pissed off in here. Those couplets and the backside of these storms, there's some good gusting winds, right? And that shows me some possible rotation in there. Does that mean we're going to get a tornado? No. But crazy wind events all the same. Yeah, wow, just crossing the river. Something wild is going on there. So anybody out there, if you can get pictures safely, let us know what's going on there. And then same with down by Monty Lake. We see some like couplets that show me that maybe things are spinning and moving a bit. There's probably some really strong turbulence going on in there, man. Maybe I was a little quick to say I was going to shut my stream down. But even you can see that bow echo, right? Kelly Green sent a photo. Okay. I'll figure that out later, buddy. Valley view just on the edge of it now. And that is a lot of lightning, yes. Up towards Wellsgrave Park by Avila. A whole bunch of lightning down there on Highway 5, a little bit in the hills. So that's this storm here. And that storm by Blue River. They look pretty angry. Any one of these isolated storms could be. These guys down by Vernon look real impressive. But this is the story right now. This guy just east of Kamloops. This is the story. And you can even see, like, just in the radar feed, how exceptionally angry this sort of bow-shaped paracells are. Lightning strikes up by Penetton Lake, up by Paul Creek. So a bunch. It's basically made its jump across, except for just east of Valley, between Barnhart and Valley View. It's kind of hanging in there still, the backside of it. And I'm guessing, because we had this lightning strike here, more or less in the res. So I'm guessing one of these bolts went boof and reached out. So that's again what we're talking about, where you are sitting here thinking you're totally safe in the storm, and boom, like, so just always be cognizant if you're watching storms. Watch the hair on your arms, man. There's a famous picture of those two people. They're on a mountain in Yosemite, outside San Francisco, and their hair's all standing on edge. And they're like, "Wow, so cool!" And then they got struck by lightning. And the photos, one of the cameras that was taking photos that day ended up all the film burnt because of the lightning strike, right? So several people got hit by one strike. So yeah, some real angry wind on the backside of that storm. So we just seen that crossing over Highway 1 down near Dallas, Barnhart Vale, Valley View, getting their piece of it. And some of these leading edge of the storm, some of these winds are very, very strong. That's moving into uninhabited areas. However, this one still isn't. And we'll look back at reflectivity. She's still threatening civilization. So I imagine we'll get some action towards Pritchard and Nisconlith in the next little bit. So this guy's kind of out in a safe country, striking hills. This guy is probably going to affect. And the storms are starting to move more in the direction that they're supposed to move, closer and closer as the day goes on. Guy down by Summerlin looking pretty angry. Small, but active. Could get more active. So those are our storms. I don't want to really stop now until this guy kind of makes its way out of civilization. So let everybody know, if you're in Pritchard, you have friends in Nisconlith, maybe, but I would say definitely Pritchard. Definitely everyone along that Monty Lake, that 97C or whatever that is there, or D. Wow, and then Mount Paul. It's starting to, this cell's starting to aim for Mount Paul. And we have had lightning strikes outside of the core. So ones that have reached out, another one somewhere up in this area here. So again, you know, reachers, boom, boom. So that's a sign of some power. Lightning's been detected 120 kilometers from me. So who's that? Got a fresh storm. Yes, okay, so that's that Mahout Falls cell still. Which by way of Crow is only 120 kilometers from me. That guy by Chasm, 70 Mile House. 70 Mile House is getting it right now. Yep. Several clusters of lightning strikes. People out by Green Lake, maybe take notice. This guy's probably coming for you. Our hook has calmed down a little bit. More and more, it looks like this guy's trying to separate off the line, and this guy's trying to do its own thing. I think one of these will probably be the survivor in the long run. But for now, and you can see Pritchard, it's already starting to get some leading edge sign of the storm, right? So yeah, lots of strikes out in the Caribou Wilderness. Oh, wow, yeah. So all your fears about lightning have been realized today. Storm down by Avila, south of Blue River, a dozen strikes maybe in the last 10 minutes. Mount Paul now getting some strikes, and the line kind of pushing forward, not quite to Heffley Creek, but more or less the lightning activity is along the front edge. So that's getting more of a frontal kind of storm, this guy. And this guy could break off and stay isolated and stay strong, is my guess. And this secondary guy cell as well. So these are aggressive looking thunderstorms, man. Out by Mabel Lake, Kingfisher, if you know people out there. Definitely some of the mountains in the Monashees east northeast of Enderby. Mara Lake. So definitely in some of the Shuswap lakes on the east side, there's these storms that are in the higher mountains there. But they're not the ones that are the most active right now. It's still this line that is basically the most upset, right? So still, I doubt there's no more. I doubt severe watches have been issued yet, or will be again. Sorry, there was earlier when we first started the podcast. Those are gone. Yes. And just heard some rumbling in Pritchard. Yes, so you're definitely going to get it. And you can see you got a little bit of a cloud sitting there, kind of like a bubble, teasing you. Yeah, you should be hearing it pretty good soon. Because just off the Caribou Highway 97 there, there's that cell's kind of crossing the south, towards the South Thompson, towards Money Creek. So it's not far from you in Pritchard. We had one more lightning strike in Barnhartvale near Uplands Drive. So, yeah, okay. That's where my former boss's house is. Still, buddy. So, Duzac, if anyone's watching, ITF, not far from your dad's house, not far from Otto's house, Otto Duzac, been a lightning strike just south of there. So, Aaron, have your buddies ready. It's probably smoldering right now, still. That storm has basically moved on from you. And it's losing some of its characteristics. You know, like I said, it seems to be dividing itself. So you have this kind of like frontal line pushing in behind, and you got this sort of guy off by itself that may be the one that becomes the most aggressive, and that's the one that's moving towards Pritchard. And you can see how deep it's becoming just over the highway. Frontal edge is just about in Pritchard now. There's the little town of Pritchard right in the South Thompson. So you can see it. Get a photo safely. Safest place to photograph thunderstorms is from your car, unless it's tornado coming for you, which, in BC, probably not. Don't park underneath power lines. Don't park underneath trees. Chase some of these storms. Have fun. Be safe. Don't get too looky at the storm and forget about the road. But that'd be really fun right now. If you were had in Kamloops, if you were watching this and you got in your vehicle, you could have driven along and basically followed, a path of all hell breaking loose for a little while. And as it gets towards Pritchard, I'm getting the feeling more and more that Nisconleth and Chase will see this. So let our friends in Chase know. Let our friends in Nisconleth know. This guy by 70 Mile House, that's angry looking. And just near Wright Station, so you can see it from Lac La Hache. If you're at the gas station up here, you'd be looking sort of south, west towards it. Alkali Lake. We can't tell fully what's happening because of the radar crossover, so this is what you call a dead zone, basically. But as it gets closer to Williams Lake, we'll get better and better picture of it, and you can see that this area is in the crosshairs. So that's 141 Mile House, St. Joseph's, Spring House. Yeah, beware that in the next half hour you are going to see thunderstorms. People in that area, let them know. Tell them to watch my podcasts and whatnot. Look at it by Hansville, south of Hansville. So we do have fire going on right now, basically here between Alexis Creek and Hansville. So I'm sure what they need is more lightning striking in the area. But this week, that's what's going to happen. Sorry. So yeah, this guy up by Sycamoose now. Those are some angry cells, and they're kicking out lightning. And pretty soon they'll start moving. These guys will start moving off. Cross over Highway 1, and they'll start moving more in the mountains towards Seymour. There is some cells up there already, so you will see these guys move on soon, and then they'll kind of be out of our concern because we don't want to stare at every storm. But this guy by Kimberly, very active. So there's this guy up towards Windermere in the Purcells there, very active. Active thunderstorm by Sycamoose. Area is east of Salmon Arm. Pretty angry line of storm just going through Monty Creek towards Pritchard right now. It just passed through. That was the one we've been calling uh, Stump Lake storm, because it mostly just sat here for a number of hours and then finally just took off on a run, in the last hour. This guy by 70 Mile House, that's pretty significant. Probably have hail in them, a lot of them too, and strong frontal winds. So that's the ones we're looking at, the ones that come towards Williams Lake. Be ready. Ones east of Kamloops, they're still going to affect civilization for a while. I mean, getting a better view of here's how that came through today. So things are really moving northwesterly this morning. There's that first line of storms. It went through. Now comes the second one. That's been our story today. Our Stump Lake storm. Everything's direction is starting to change more and more in a typical fashion. And that's probably why the severity has calmed down a little bit too on these cells, right? Why, I doubt we'll see another severe watch today. Could be a severe warning if one of these cells gets active enough. Any other questions today? Caring a lot. I don't get too looky at the storm yet. So that's exactly right. So thanks. Wow, 14 likes. Thanks everybody. Really appreciate you being part of this. All the things I'm trying to do. And it's a lot. And we know that over the next bunch of days, shit's going to hit the fan, and all you need to look at is just how bizarre they shaped all the isobars are, how everything's just struggling to get inland, to cross the continent. And that'll be our story. New fresh radar shots. Pritchard now. You are officially in a storm, I'd say. But yeah, this line is losing its characteristics. It's not what it was 20 minutes ago or 30 minutes ago. You can, tell that just by looking at it. It's calmed down. And will they pop back up and get angry again? Quite possibly. As they die out, they might cycle. And when they are in their part of the cycle, it may be some really intense wind and rain and stuff that's going on right now as it's kind of cycling out. So that's something to watch for. Then it might go through a period of being calm where it's bubbling back up. So definitely those storms aren't dead. They're just not quite what this one in 70 Mile House is starting to more and more look like. And unfortunately, this guy up by Avila has been really aggressive. These cells that are been too close earlier to Silver Star that we were having trouble getting good view of them earlier. They're not significantly organized, but they are pretty deep in some spots. They have been kicking out a fair bit of lightning. Down by Lumbee, another round for you. Sky and Peachlands, it's got some lightning, but it's not very structured storm. Sky and Kimberly, the west, it's west of Kimberly. This Kimberly storm, very, very silly amount of lightning in there. So we will be watching. Yeah, when I say silly amount of lightning, I mean, I bet you there's been hundreds of lightning strikes from this one storm, right? So it's significant. And the one south of Cranbrook, uh, it's still there. You can't see it in this radar, but it's right here. Hundreds of lightning strikes in that one. Hundreds. So yeah, lots of targets to be looking for our BC Wildfire Service, certainly. Yeah, so quite a bit in coming towards Vernon. If you're watching Christine still, you're going to get another round. In fact, if you go outside, you might be able to start hearing it soon. And significantly less lightning in our Stump Lake slash Kamloops storm. So it's really going through a cycle out. We'll watch and see if it gets any more angry. Chances are I mean, it's only 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Chances are it develops again, goes through in the round. So everybody in Nisconlith, Chase, Squilax, Adam Lake, Sun Peaks, keep your eyes on this one because it may intensify pretty quickly again when it decides to. And this guy by 70 Mile House, that's a pretty deep storm. And we know that coming towards Williams Lake, we have another bunch that have been pretty active, although not as active as some of the other ones, but they're consistently putting out lightning. Consistently. So all those areas now north of the Gang Ranch. And yeah, that's more or less the story now. So I think now is an okay time for me to say I'm going to call it. I think the storms that I'm going to be watching more and more will be the ones in the South Caribou. A lot of that's in poor radar feed area right now. So that makes it hard to kind of report and follow on them as they're crossing up and over. Uh, so on Interior Weather and Wilderness Watchers, we will keep an eye on this storm in particular, as well our Avola storm. I mean, it's not going to stay in civilization very long before it jumps into the hills or whatever, it goes up the valley. So, I mean, this has been sitting there for quite a while, though. So that's probably a fun one to drive through if you're on Highway 5. So these are our lightning targets right now. Quite a bit of them. I'm sure we're in the thousands of strikes now already today. So until we get that cool down weather on Saturday, anything that strikes into dry grass and dry brush into areas that have not begun to green up will possibly simmer and possibly make for a spring fire season. So, like I say, if you've been paying attention, there's going to be two fire seasons essentially. There's a spring one, and then hopefully we get our June rains like we normally do, and things green up. And at that point, the risk goes down for a little while. July, we start getting heat wave, or August, we start getting heat wave. The El Nino does develop. We might see an actual fire season later. So there's always like, this is a good reminder time here to be like, oh shit, fire season. Rarely does the early fire season continuously burn through, to the big fire season, which is usually end of June, beginning of July, but that's going to start, right? So let's not get too panicked about these things. However, um, as you know, any lightning that's near communities, that's a concern right now. And the amount of rain that's been falling in some of these, that's a fucking concern. Especially anything that drains towards Cache Creek. Some of these rainfalls in the hills right now, that's really concerning for Cache Creek. So look for Cache Creek flooding to probably rise. So yeah, that's the concern. So most of the storms are heading into territory that isn't fully humanized. There is these guys sort of east of Revelstoke. You're going to be seeing those for a while. This guy by Monty Creek, going to be seeing that for a while. When something interesting happens in the Caribou, maybe I'll come back on here. So with that, please hit subscribe if you haven't before. Please support the channel. You can hit the thanks button. You can hit the thumbs up button. That's the thumbs up's free. Subscribe's free. And bringing precipitation now. Cooler wind, Christine Jensen says. And she's got a couple photos. So excellent. Yep. I'm going to call it at that and stay safe out there. I think Friday is really the day to watch. This is the warm up today and maybe tomorrow a little bit. I think Friday is the day where we're going to get some significant thunderstorm behavior in British Columbia, followed by all kinds of shit. Snow behind it, possibly in the mountains, you name it, right? So this is one hell of a forecast. And you can see the forecast I made last night here on this channel. I would say it still holds for the next bunch of days. It's still a legit forecast, so check that out. Keep watching the skies, keep watching the forests, keep watching for fires, and keep watching for the people you love.